Hello and welcome to the Ideal Home Show YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm Craig Masson and this is my Ideal Home Show tour. You find us here in sunny Hastings in the house that I share with my husband Jason, who very kindly is acting as cameraman today. I've always had a love of vintage and retro styles. I just love the history of each piece. Who owned it before, how they use it in their house. It's really appealing. I've seen it so much more interesting than buying new. As we move through the house on the tour, you'll see all sorts of decades, from Victorian, all 20th century designs, Art Deco and 70s glam, all mixed up together. In fact, the only new things you'll see in this house are the fitted kitchen, the sofa, the bed, and the bathroom fittings. I'm hoping that this tour will show you that using vintage pieces in your house doesn't mean you have to live in a time capsule. So come along with me and have a snoop around the home and I'll show you how vintage can work for you. So we're going to start our tour in the kitchen diner. Now, this room was the most problematic. It actually was 3 rooms. We had a dining room, a kitchen, and a lean-to, which didn't really function because the existing wall was still there. So we took the decision to knock all of those walls out. And I think I've created a really good modern kitchen dining area. Now, again, I've mixed up all of the decades here in terms of furniture. I've got a mid-century dining set. I've got a Victorian drinks cabinet. And actually this island is made from an Edwardian library cabinet. Sadly, the top half got damaged in the move, but rather than lose the whole lot, I incorporated the bottom half into this kitchen island. Now, of course, the most important part of a kitchen is the kitchen. And as much as I wanted a big fancy, all singing, all dancing, fitted kitchen, sadly, the budget didn't allow that. So my solution was to install a basic white IKEA kitchen, and I covered all the doors with this amazing petrol blue vinyl wrap. And it's really made it look like an expensive bespoke kitchen. And the addition of those little brass handles really finishes it off well. Now, of course, just because we're in the kitchen doesn't mean you can't indulge your passion for collecting. I've got quite a few of my little collections in here. You just make them relevant to the room. So I've collected all of these 1960s beefeater plates. They look great. I even have a collection of 1940s Bakelite egg slicers. You know, where else could they look so good? Some of my collections are even practical. The barrelware here, I use every day. It's practical, it's robust, it really is a classic design. Of all the collections here in the kitchen, my favorite is probably the cruets. A little bit kitsch, but they're such fun. Now, my little bit of advice for your collections is do have some perimeters. If I decided to collect any old cruet, I would never have stopped and the whole kitchen would be full of them. So I decided to limit myself to plastic, Bakelite and glass. So that way it limits the number I can buy and it just refines the collection. Now, interestingly, this is the only room in the house which doesn't have colour on the walls. I painted it this off cream white because I really didn't want to lose any of the colour, particularly in the winter when it can get a bit dark. It needed to be practical. But ironically, there's no lack of colour in this room. The colour comes from the artwork, the gallery wall, and all of the accessories. So even if you have white walls and you don't quite have the courage to paint them an amazing colour, put the colour in with your accessories. So the second room on the tour finds us in the sitting room. And the first thing you're going to notice is this amazing oversized fireplace. It's an original feature. And in fact, when I came to view the house, this is the thing that sold it to me. I think this fireplace really sets the tone for this room. And that's something I wanted to continue in a slightly grand way. So I actually decided to add paneling onto all of the walls in here. Now, I think normally you might expect it to have like a dark wood finish to match the surround of the fireplace, but I felt that might be a little bit dark and look a little bit too traditional. So I decided to paint it this like zesty sage colour, and I think it really gives the room a much more contemporary modern feel. This house was built in 1923, and it's definitely a nod to the arts and crafts movement in its design. So in honour of that, I decided to use a William Morris wallpaper above the picture rail. Now, of course, normally we just go up to the ceiling, but I thought let's do something a little bit different. And I took it up the wall and over onto the ceiling. I then added this lovely dusty pink border. And for a little bit of an extra touch, I did a little bit of decoupage. And I took all of the scraps and the ends of the rolls, and I just put these little details in the corner. in all four corners of the room. And I think it really makes the room look just a little bit more bespoke. As I said earlier, all of the furniture in this house is vintage, with a few exceptions, of course, the sofa being one, because we all need a lovely comfy sofa to flop into at the end of the day. But the armchairs, they're 1940s, which I've recovered just to make them tie in a little bit more. I've got a pair of lovely 50s bookcases. I've even got some really nice 70s macrame. It just goes to show that you can mix all the vintages up and it still works. In terms of all the knickknacks, these are just things that I've picked up on my travels. And again, it's a very eclectic mix that really does work when they're all together. So now let's go into the hallway. So my main concern here in the hallway was the lack of light. Quite a dark space. So to that end, I decided to really drench the whole area with a really warm, sunshiny colour. And this yellow really does the trick. When you first come into the house, it really creates a warm and welcoming feeling. Now, like a lot of other people, we suffer from a lack of storage here. And so we really had to come up with some good solutions to stop this hallway being clogged up with coats and boots. So I came up with the idea of actually utilising the understairs space. Now, when we first got this house, the way into this void was through the toilet. But actually, we thought that didn't really work. That's been blocked up, and now we have this really good storage system which allows us to hide all our coats and boots, nothing hanging around in the way. So to my left, you'll see a door. Now, this is actually the original door into the kitchen. And of course, it has no function anymore because it's been blocked up. But you know, there are so many beautiful original features in this house, and I think it'd be criminal to lose any of them. So I've actually made the decision to leave it in situ and just maintain the character of the house. So now let's take a look inside the toilet. You'll see here that the theme is very much botanical, fauna and flora. Great place to display my collection of taxidermy butterflies. And for that extra vintage touch, I even designed an old Thunderbox style toilet. I really like the idea that it really looks like it's been here forever.
For nearly 25 years, Cox & Cox have been helping people fall in love with their homes, with beautifully crafted furniture and accessories you won't find anywhere else. Their buyers travel the world to bring you original designs, always with an eye for quality and enduring style. From freestanding kitchen units and made-to-order sofas to statement lighting, storage and accessories, their offering captures each new season with a timeless aesthetic and effortless style. Every piece is handpicked with care for a collection that is curated for design lovers by design lovers. The English rustic trend is an evocative and layered look with eclectic accessories and furniture full of texture and character. It features colour in deeper tones with embroidered and printed textiles and natural materials reminiscent of cosy cottages and homely farmhouse style. And when it comes to Christmas, Cox & Cox is the place where festive dreams begin. Their eagerly anticipated festive trends are a highlight of the season, bringing together everything you need from show-stopping faux trees, baubles and lights to Christmas liners and gift wrap. So whether you want a serene, nature-inspired festive decor, a little retro glamour, or a fun, classic, nostalgic family Christmas, Cox & Cox have a trend to match your style. Click the link in the description below to create a home you love to be in with Cox & Cox.
So up here on the landing, you can see that I've continued that really warm yellow colour all the way up to the ceiling and drenched the lot. Again, it brings that warmth right upstairs. Now, I felt that this needed a little bit of something extra up here. So I actually came upon the idea of using another William Morris paper and creating this lovely border all around the skirtings and the doors. It's quite a thrifty way of creating a border rather than actually buying the roll. So one roll of wallpaper did this entire section. So to my right, you'll see a door. Now, a bit like downstairs, this door has been blocked off, and you'll see later what's the other side. But again, really didn't want to remove any of the original features of this beautiful house. So that, although it isn't functional, it has been kept in situ. So I have a lot of stuff and I need a lot of shelves. So I had to come up with some clever ideas on where to put all this stuff. Now, traditionally, we're always putting our shelves each side of an alcove, and I think that obviously works very well, but we don't have that luxury here. So I had to come up with an idea of where can I put a shelf? How about above a window? It actually was a dead space, and now by putting this shelf here, it just creates a new area for display. And not only above windows, put a shelf over a door. It's great space to utilize and put all your collections. So here on my left, this is what I like to call my travel journal haul. Now, whenever I go away, I like to pick up a little trinket. It might be a vintage piece, or it might be a little bit of folk art. But I think picking up somewhere from where you've been, bring it home and put it on your wall as a little memento, it really sparks a lot of memories. So much easier than writing in a journal. So the last thing I want to show you up here on the landing is this light fitting. Now, we've spoken about mixing the decades and the eras of design. How about also mixing textures and finishes? These hard green enamel lamps really weren't working here, but the addition of some soft tasseling, they become something quite different, something interesting and really quirky. So the inspiration for this family bathroom all came from a visit to Paris and a beautiful villa I went to see. They had this beautiful basket weave effect marble floor, and I thought that's something I really want to take home. I actually found that they still made it, so that really informed the decision to make this bathroom very classic and very clean. So we have marble floors, marble walls, even a marble skirting board. So my favourite part of this bathroom is actually the sink unit. This is an upcycled chest of drawers. It was a real bargain, and just by cutting a hole in the top and dropping in a sink, not only do you have a piece of beautiful furniture, functional, you've got great storage for all your towels and your toiletries. So, of course, despite this being a very clean, almost clinical room, there's still time for a bit of fun and a chance to exert your personalities, hence my lovely little collection of figurines here. So here we are in the master bedroom. Now this, when we bought the house, was actually 2 rooms, but we felt we really want to make this a little bit more special, so we knocked it back into 1 room, which incidentally is how it was originally. Now, I know a lot of people are worried about losing bedrooms and affecting the value of their house, but it's worth remembering that these days, houses are sold on square footage, not number of bedrooms. So don't worry about the value. Enjoy your house, make it yours, it's you. Once we knocked through this into 1 big room, I did feel that it was a little bit claustrophobic. The ceiling was a little bit low, and actually the windows here are also dropped down quite low. So I took the bold decision to take the ceiling away, and we now have this amazing vaulted room. It really creates some drama and makes this a very dramatic room, considering it's just a cottage bedroom. Now, in terms of the furniture, of course, we have my usual mishmash. The bed is new, but I have a mid-century sideboard. I have Victorian chests of drawers. It all works when you mix it up. In terms of the colour of this room, I needed something very dark and moody and restful. And this dark plum colour really works well. I would say don't be afraid of using dark colours in rooms like this. It's only paint after all, and if you don't like it, you can repaint. Just to add a little bit of interest and texture, I picked up this dark maroony colour of this wall, which has got this lovely textured wallpaper. It just adds a little bit of another level of warmth. So as you walk past the partition wall, you come into the dressing room and ensuite area. Now I've continued that dark, plummy colour all the way through to really keep that restful feeling in this room. Now at the back you have some panelling, and you may recall at the top of the stairs there was that doorway. Well, that's just sitting right behind that panelling, blocked off. And maybe in the future we may decide to reinstall it, but it's there ready to go. Over here we have this really stunning glass-fronted X-display unit. Now this glass front, it looks great, but it really keeps you on your toes, keeping your clothes tidy. And of course, one way of helping that is extra storage. Now these vintage suitcases, not only do they look great, it's a great place to put your surplus clothing. And of course, I have to mention this very handsome roll-top bath. Now in a house of this size, it never could have taken the weight of a cast iron roll-top bath. But this is actually a very modern type of bath. It's made of a volcanic resin. It's actually very light, perfect for small houses like this. And with that view, it's such a lovely place to have a soak. And lastly, here in the ensuite, we have this great French sideboard with the marble top. with the hole drilled in, drop-in a sink, perfect vanity unit and tons of great storage. So, the final room on our tour brings us to the guest room. Now, of course, most of us might even call this the spare room. And the temptation, of course, with spare rooms, it's just somewhere where you chuck everything. But this is a dedicated guest room, and I try to keep it nice, ready for any unexpected company. Now, the style of this room is a little bit more traditional than the rest of the house, still with lots of vintage pieces, but very much more traditional. I have this really lovely little green wallpaper, and I've picked out that dark plum colour and I've washed it all over the ceiling. Now, when I first did this room, I actually left the ceiling cream off-white colour, and it just felt a little bit insipid. So I would say go for the strong colours, and what's the worst could happen? You have to repaint it. It's only paint. Now, obviously, lots of little vintage pieces here. It goes from Moroccan folk art to 50s plaster plates. It all works if you curate it well. Now, of course, storage again a problem. Your suitcase on the top of the wardrobe, great for you to take your surplus clothes and make room for your guest. And one last little tip to make your guest feel super welcome, how about finding an old photograph of them, of you together or the family that they're in, and pop it on the sideboard. It really will make them feel like they belong in your house and feel super welcome. So that concludes the tour of my house here in the sunny Hastings. My advice to you, be fearless. Make your home an extension of you and your personality. Forget rules, forget trends, just do you. So thanks for watching my Ideal Home Show tour. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and check out more interviews on the Ideal Home Show right here on our YouTube channel. I'll be at the Christmas show, which runs from the 26th to the 30th of November. So grab your tickets from our website and I will look forward to seeing you there.